All right, hello everyone. How are you? It's Kei. So this is the 2nd of July 2022 on Saturday. So I hope you're having a great weekend. And thank you for joining on today's live stream. Although this is on the weekend, I appreciate your participation and also support on my YouTube channel as always. So yeah, today I will review my own trades in the month of June. But just give you an impression first, the month of June has been a bit tricky towards the end, especially in the mid towards the end. I had some stop losses and break-evens. So most of my profits were basically from the beginning of the June. So, but including that, I will talk about how I took these trades. I basically took 10 or 11 trades in the month of June and got the return of 12%. So I will show you every single trade that I took in the month of June and hopefully learn something new from today's live stream. So let me switch screen and start the live for now. All right, so before starting, as usual, just a quick disclaimer, just in case, is that basically my YouTube channel, what I talk about on my YouTube channel is basically based on my own experience for education purposes only. So when you take trades, please do at your own risks. And also, if this is new for you, please follow the rules and guidelines on the live stream, on the chat, so that we can learn together in this way. And also recently, there are so many spamming accounts in social media, so please be careful. I only do my own website and YouTube and Twitter, but I never do Telegram and I don't do Instagram, Facebook, or I never send direct messages to anyone through social media, so please be careful. Okay, so thank you for joining everybody. I see your comments now. Let me see who's here. Just say hi to everyone before jumping into topic. All right, Nadim, TSM, good to see you. All right, Karim and Dirk, Noel, H. Bashart, Oscar, Movie Hero, and Jorg, good to see you too. And David, thank you for joining also. Good to see you. All right. Faiz and Ivan, Richard, also good to see you. Thanks for the comments, everyone. Appreciate it so much. Alexander, Asif, Rose, and TikTok, Mahardika, and Balachandra, good to see you too. Thanks for joining. And Buta, good to see you also. All right, and yes, Noel, I think I will come back to your question later after I cover my topic today. Okay, in Blackwater and Moonboy, Augustine, Amni, and Muchino Frank, Win, Dal, and Adam Wong, good to see you too. And H. Bashar also, again, good to see you. Karina and Barat, good to see you too. Andre FX, thank you for joining, also good to see you. Yeah, so H. Bashar and Noel, let me come back to your question towards the end of the live today. So first, let me review my own trades. So this is like the monthly topics right now. Towards the end or the beginning of the month on Saturday, I talk about my own trades on the previous months. So here is my performance in the month of June. Hold on, let me try to fit this into page so that you can see the whole picture now. So I write all my trades on Excel spreadsheet like this way, and I post every single trade screenshot in Discord at the GTS class. So in the month of June, as I mentioned previously, my return was 12%. Let me enlarge so you can see the whole numbers here. So my return was 12%. I started with 350 and I ended with 393. So it was 12% profit. And my win rate was 30%. So in terms of win rate, it wasn't really good. But how I count the losses are basically I take the break-even trades as a loss also. So if I take the break-evens win, then my win rate was more than 50%. But because I take the break-even loss plus losing trades 6, break-even trades were 8, and that's why it also winning trades were 6. That's why my win rate was 30%. So the win rate was not really good, but the PF was relatively high. It was 4.92. So that means my risk and reward ratio overall in average was 1 to 4.92. And my Earl multiple means the risk and reward ratio in terms of pips overall was 4. So that means I had the risk reward ratio in terms of pips 1 to 4, and in terms of profit that was 1 to 4.92. And my max profit was 136.6 pips, and my max loss was minus 22 pips. My average profit was 23 pips, my average loss was minus 6 pips. So that was my performance in the month of June. So if you look at the graph, this is obvious that, so I took the first couple of trades until the 10th of June, I made nice profits, but the rest of the months and after the 10th of June, I had some drawdowns and break-evens and ended the month of June like this. So that's why I say all the profits, basically all the profits in the month of June was from the beginning, between 3rd and the 10th of June. So you can see my trades here. I took the AUD-JPY first and CAD-JPY. CAD-JPY was really nice. I took 136.6 pips on one of the positions. In another position, I took 110 pips. So basically, this was the only trade that made me profitable in the month of June. If I didn't have this profit, then most likely that was break-even. So thankfully to this CAD-JPY trade, my performance in the month of June was successful. So yeah, and AUD-JPY, I took some profits, but one of the profit was 27 pips and the other one was 21.3 pips. So it wasn't that much. And Euro AUD, USD CAD were break-even trades. And then Euro JPY, I took some loss, minus 22 pips. This was the max loss I took in the month of June. And then Aussie Swiss franc, I took the minus 2.8 pips loss. And then AUD JPY, I took the minus 15.6 pips loss. And then Aussie Swiss franc, I took 15.4 pips on one of the positions. And the other one, I took the profit of 12 pips. And towards the end of June, between 28th and 29th, I took CAD-JPY and AUD-CAD, and both trades were ended with a break-even. So I took 10 trades total. I took the 10 trades total, and that was my performance. So my impression overall was basically the beginning of the June, it was active. The markets were active, and I was able to spot nice trends and nice pairs to trade. But towards the end, it became a bit difficult. And that was because JPY pairs were retracing backwards. That was one of the things that was a bit tricky. CAD JPY or any JPY pairs in the beginning of June was trending up, if you can remember. but towards the mid to end, JPY pairs retraced. So that's why I didn't take any JPY trades. I took some Euro JPY, AUD JPY, and CAD JPY, but these were a bit retracing backwards. And I took the trade based on the 4-hour trend directions. And then AUD was getting weaker towards the end of June, and that's why I started to take some AUD pairs to sell. Yeah, but I wasn't really success on the AUD pairs trade. But that was just the month of June, and hopefully July will be more active. So that's my performance in the month of June. So let me explain how I took these trades on each, based on each screenshot on each trade. So let me switch to the Discord. So, before moving on, let me ask everyone, let me create a poll. Like, were you profitable? How was your performance in June? And I say profitable and break even and I say profitable or loss. And let me ask everyone this question. Okay, so I just posted the poll on chat. So if you can vote, that would be great. So yeah, so let me see. So let me just review every single trade of mine. Let me switch to Discord. And yeah, over here. Okay, so this was the first trade I took on the AUD JPY buy at 3:05 UTC PM. And this was my entry. It was a nice uptrend. I mean, JPY pairs are all good. And I took the AUD JPY. 4 hour was bullish and 1 hour was also bullish. Took the trade in the 5 minute. I got this the trend line bounce and band walking. Sorry, maybe not the band walking. It was a Bollinger Band squeeze. I took the squeeze of the Bollinger Bands and yeah, this trend line bounce and then counter trend line breakout. There was also pin bar reverse. So I've got multiple confirmations here. So I was pretty confident that the market goes towards my direction, and actually it did. My stop loss was 33 pips below that position, so it was 93.69 was my stop loss. So my stop losses are usually in between 20 to 40 pips in range, so 33 pips of stop loss is just fine for me. I used to take smaller stop losses like 15 or 10 pips previously, but I found that these are a bit too small. So I started to take a bit wider stop losses. And as I mentioned previously on my live stream, the risk percent to stop loss is 2% as always of my whole account. 2% for this stop loss risk trade. So I took that trade, and then afterwards the market went up. So I think this screenshot, I moved the stop loss 20 pips below that position. So it was 20 pips below. So because originally I took the 30 pips. So now I raised the stop loss to here so that my risk becomes a bit lower now. In this way, I'm taking like 15%, 1.5% or 1.6% of risk per trade in this way. And then I was waiting for another N wave to come in the 5 minute. This is the M5. This is in M5. This is in the this is the MT5 platform, and I took the screenshot. So this was where I bought it. This was my stop loss. I moved the stop loss above, slightly above from the original place. And then, yeah, it broke the resistance. Okay, so this was, I took this from mobile. The market broke the resistance. So I moved the stop loss, I think it was here originally, 20 pips below to break even. This was my stop loss, break even. And this was my entry. This was where I bought it. This was my buy. So I always monitor chart until I set the break-even line. If the break-even is too early, then you may end up with too many break-even trades. But if you take the break-even too late, then you may lose all these potential pips profit, and you may end up with loss. So you always have to set the break-even at the right timing. And the right timings could be also, one of the right timings would be the end wave confirmation. When I see the end wave bullish, I move it to break even. And break even means I move the stop loss slightly above that position. So this was where I bought it. If you can see these two dots, this was where I bought it. And this is the break even. And you know why I put the stop loss slightly above that position to make it break even? Because when you think about the break even, you can actually put the stop loss exactly on your position, so that when the market retraces backwards, you exit without any profits, right? So technically, you can do that. But I moved the stop loss slightly above the position so that it covers the spread. You know, every time you enter trades in Forex, you pay the spread. It can be 1 pip or 2 pips, or sometimes it goes up to 3 pips, like the Swiss franc pairs or the New Zealand pairs. So it has to cover the spread. So if you put the break even exactly on your position, then technically on this particular trade, you didn't lose anything, but you lose the spread. You're paying the spread, and you are not covering the spread. So to cover the spread, I recommend you to put the stop loss above or below the position, so that when the market retraces backwards, it covers your spread. So that becomes a technically break even in that way. So that's what I did. Every time I do this for the break even. And then afterwards, the market went backwards very sharply. I think it was, yeah, the market went backwards sharply, so I exited. Yeah, AUDJPI, right? Yeah, I exited. And yeah, so after this big spike, well, actually, before I took the screenshot, the market went backwards, and I have been trading the stop losses originally. So this was my buy in the 5-minute on AUDJPY, and I was moving the stop losses above the position. And then when I saw this end wave, when I saw this breakout, I moved one of the stop losses here to fix maybe 5 or 6 pips of profit, and the other one at here. So these were, I take 2 positions and take 2 stop losses. So this was one of the stop losses, and this is another stop loss. I moved these stop losses in 2 different places, and then this big spike down took 2 stop losses. So that's how I took this profit on AUDJPY. And that was reflected on this first trade, AUDJPY. I took one trade, 27 pips of profit, the other one, 21 pips of profit. So yeah, again, it was like that. Okay, so and the next one I wanted to cover is Also, this was after I took some trades. But the next one I'm gonna cover is CADJPY. This was a trade that I took the profit the most in the month of June. So let me show you how I trailed the profit in this one. So CADJPY, again, I took one of the positions, 136.6 pips profit, and the second position, I took 110 pips of profit. It made actually the PF to 4.92. So yeah, CADJPY, I bought it on the 10th of June at 2 p.m. UTC. On the 7th of June, I took it on the 2 p.m. UTC at 105.551 with a stop loss of 38 pips. So this was how it looked like when I took the trade. So 4 hour was bullish and 1 hour was also bullish. So I was expecting the market breaks resistance. This is also my strategy, is that I don't wait for the breakout, not always to trade. Sometimes I enter the trade before the breakout so that once it breaks it, it goes very fast and I can make profits in shorter term for the bigger profits. I think this was one of the good examples for this. So I say I saw 4 hour was bullish and H1 was also bullish. So this is how I took the trade. I took this gold cross stochastics and also engulfing breakout and doji break. There was this inside bar, engulfing breakout, and there was a little doji here, small candlestick. Small candlestick broke iron in this way. So this was how I took the trade buy before the break. I didn't look at the Bollinger Bands in this case. In this case, you may think that this is band walk, but actually this wasn't. Bands were expanding, but the expansion was not really strong. If next candlestick breaks the resistance and goes up this way, then you can take this as band walk. But in this case, I didn't take that as one of the confirmations, but I took the other ones. The gold cross stochastics and this inside bar break. I was also seeing this bullish in the wave in the 5 in the range. So I was expecting the market breaks bullish in this way. And then what happened afterwards was that the market slightly broke the resistance and it made this N wave bullish. I moved the stop loss slightly below the previous pushback in the 5. So I risked 16 pips now. Originally it was 38 pips. 38 pips of stop loss, but then I took the 16 pips of stop loss. So my stop loss became half, like more than half. So even if the market goes backwards, I lose only 1%. Or less than 1%, I lose. So psychologically, I feel safer in this way, to move the stop loss from here to here when I saw this breakout. But I couldn't move it to break even yet because this is still too close. I think this was only running like 5 pips of profit. So if I move it to break even, it will be taken out very soon. So reasonably, I moved the stop loss here, the previous pushback in the 5. But I liked this graph, this setup here, because from here there was a pin bar and also consecutive bullish in the waves. And 4 hour continuously bullish and 1 hour was continuously bullish. So this was also ascending P wave in the 5, and I was really positive that the market breaks bullish in this way according to the higher time frame directions. So I kept holding buy continuously And then gradually it went up this way. So this is where I moved it to break even. I saw this small end wave bullish. So I moved the stop loss that was here to break even. And again, I was pretty positive that the market keeps going up this way because this was also the P wave breakout in the 5. I see the P wave breakout, and then there was some small retracement, but it renewed higher. So this is my favorite setup. After the P wave break, retrace, and then breaks a new resistance. This is the confirmation for the continuous uptrend. This is one type of form in candlestick patterns. So I was pretty positive that the market goes up continuously, and that's why I moved the stop losses to break evens. So again, I moved the stop loss slightly above the position so that it covers my spread. So that's what I did. And then afterwards, usually after I set the break even, I leave chart for a couple of hours. In this case, I left it, I'm not sure how long I left it, but this was when I came back next time. So I think I left the chart around here after I set the break even. So it was around 4:30 UTC, and then came back at 9 p.m. So it was like like 5 hours. Yeah, five and a half hours. I left the chart and just came back. Yeah, sorry, 4.5 hours. Yeah, 4.5 hours. I left the chart and came back here and found this market in the 5. So I moved one of the stop losses below the pushback in the 5, and the other one still keep it the break even because still 4 hour was bullish and 1 hour was also bullish. 1 hour was also bullish. So there's no reason for me to exit right now. This is bullish continuously. So I was expecting the market runs up continuously on that way. So this is how I follow the trend directions. So when you see this screenshot, you may wonder, why don't you exit because you see dead cross in stochastics? Dead cross above 80 means the market may reverse. So you may think this would be potential exit timing. However, I'm not going to exit because this can be a fake dead cross. And the reason why this can be fake dead cross is because higher time frames are bullish. When higher time frames bullish in terms of Ichimoku, Kinko Hyo, then these dead crosses can be fake. For example, here there was a dead cross, stochastics, and yes, the market went backwards, but it didn't really renew lower. But instead, the market still kept higher lows and higher highs. So this dead cross was fake. So here too, there was a dead cross. So the market may retrace at some point, but I was pretty confident that it doesn't renew lower. So, but instead, the market at some point push back and goes up this way. That's why these are not my exit confirmations. You see, so I follow the market major trend directions, and I take whatever the confirmations to follow the major directions. If the signals are against major directions, I simply ignore and I'm not even looking at them. So that was my trade. That's how I took the trade, trading profit in this way. And then afterwards, I came back to chart here. I think this was next day. Yeah. So next day, I think it was the market has gone up all the way like this way. So I moved one of the stop losses slightly below the position and the other one at the previous low here. So this, I fixed a profit of 136 and the other position, it was 28. So that means over here was 136 pips. and over here was 28 pips of profit. So again, I take 2 trades. Every time I take 2 positions and manage 2 stop losses and follow trail in 2 different time frames. So one, I trail aggressively, and the other I trail in lagging way. So that even if the first one was taken, the market may go backwards, but still, if it doesn't really lower, then it might go up continuously this way. So I still have the other one alive, and I can trail furthermore with the other one by moving it to here, like in this way. So that's why I have 2 trades and two stop losses every time. So I fixed 136 profit. This was a great successful trade in the month of June. And afterwards, the market went backwards. Yeah, so the market went backwards. So I came back here. So after this, I was in the live stream. I mentioned, yeah, I moved these stop losses before the live stream. So at the live stream, I can't check chart, I can't monitor. So before the live, I moved it to here. And then I came back afterwards. So I moved the stop loss here at around 2 p.m. UTC and came back the chart at around 7 p.m. UTC. So I left the chart for like 3 hours. 1, 2, 3, sorry, for 5 hours. I left the chart and came back. So yeah, so this is how so one of my stop losses were here. And I found that this one was taken. But the other one, I kept it at the 28 pips of profit. Right, 28 pips of profit, I still kept it. So I moved this one to here, to the most recent low in the 5. So I took the profit of 136 pips here. And the other one, I moved it to here, which was, I think it was, 110. So this was at 110 pips of profit. So if the market retraces back and hit the stop loss, I take 110 pips. But if it just keeps going up this way, I trail and follow continuously uptrend. So this is the game where you play a win or more win game. So you never lose in this way. So then afterwards, came back to chart. Next day at 6 a.m. ETC, I saw the market went backwards and hit 110 stop loss here. And that's how I got these 2 profits. So I never exit manually unless higher time frame becomes flat. In this case, the whole time higher time frames was up. So I didn't exit because potentially it may break the resistance and goes up continuously. But if it reverses backwards, I simply exit at the right timing automatically by this way. So that's how I took these 2 trades with 2 profits, and that's reflected on the Excel spreadsheet. One of the positions I took 136 profit, and the other one I took 110 profit. Yeah. So I hope you're catching up in my review now, because I don't really see any comments so far. I think people listening, which is okay. So yeah, so that's how I took the trade. And yeah, so basically after this, I took some losses and break-evens. Next one I took was UC CAD on the 14th of June. Again, I saw 4 hours up, 1 hour was up, took the 5-minute chart, entry here. And this was my screenshot on MT5. After I took the buy, the market went up towards my direction. So I moved the stop loss to break even. This was a screenshot when I moved the stop loss to break even, and I leave chart. Okay. Leave chart, and then found that the market went backwards and exited with a break even. I think my trade was, I think it was 1.29, hold on, 1.2909. So my trade was 1.2909 was here, around here. So this big spike took my break even, and I lost the positions. So that was how I took the break even trade. Okay. And then the next one is, let's see, next one I took was a Euro JPY. Euro JPY, I took the trade sell because this was on, 4 hour was down, broke the Kumo nicely, and 1 hour was also down. So I took the trade in the 5. I saw this P wave breakout bearish. I also saw the consecutive bearish N waves in the 5. So the probability for the market to go down continuously is higher. There is also stochastic dead cross too. So this downtrend continuation in the 5 was relatively higher, and that's why I took the sell here. My stop loss was 46.7 pips above my position. That was my trade. And then, let's see. And then I took this one. I think I was ended with the Euro JPY, ended with the loss, 22 pips of loss. So yes, I remember now. The market went backwards very sharply in few hours, a few minutes, and then exited with 22 pips of loss. It was almost like I wave reverse. So I exited before the price hit the stop loss. The next trade I took was on this one. It was Aussie Swiss franc. I took the sell at 11:45 AM ETC, and so again, this was a screenshot. 4 hour was down, 1 hour was down. Took the trade in the 5. So as you can see like this, I didn't really follow the daily direction because daily charts were a bit flat in the month of June. So that's why I only took the 4 hour to follow. And that's why I couldn't really trail the profits in bigger pips. If I follow the daily chart, daily time frame, then I will be making more profits, more pips. But because I was only seeing the 4 hours being decent, that's why the market tends to retrace backwards very soon. Also, I took some Swiss franc trades. Swiss franc pairs are a bit tricky, especially for me with my strategy. It goes backwards very oftentimes. So that's why I also took some break-evens and some losses. But here is another trade. There was a nice break of the support in the 4 hour and 1 hour. And Kumo down, Kijun Sen down, Chikou span below nicely on these 2 time frames. And I took the trade here with the dead cross, stochastic band walk, and also doji reverse. And then, let's see. Afterwards, the market just went backwards very sharply. Yeah, I think this was, this is where I exited. Oh yeah. So after the entry, the market went down initially, but this pips running was not enough to set the break even because this was too small. So the market went backwards afterwards. And then this was 12:25 AM UTC. And on this date, on the 17th, there was a Fed Chair Powell speech in about 15 minutes. So when there's a big news like this, the market may spike. And that's why I decided to close the trade before the big news happens, because I don't want to lose big due to news. So I exited with the 3 pips of loss. And that was my AUD franc trade on this one. I took the loss of 3 pips on 2 positions. But if I was able to set the break even, then I wouldn't exit. But since my stop loss was still high above here, this was my stop loss, so I decided to exit manually because it might spike up at the news. So that was my AUD franc. So trading is all about the timings also. Before the big news, I don't recommend you to trade because the market might spike. But not only that, the spread gets very wide. It tends to be very wide. Not always, but tends to be very wide. So better to exit and come back after the news is my recommendation. And then the next trade I took was on the 21st of June on AUDJPY. So this one, there was a daily up. In the daily time frame, Kijun Sen was up and Kumo was up. Senko span A has been going up continuously and Chikou span above candles. And 1 hour was also showing a beautiful uptrend. That's why I took the buy here. I had this gold cross just happened and the trend line bounce and counter trend line breakout and band walking. I got multiple confirmations. That's why I took the buy. And I was expecting the market breaks the resistance on the daily and continuously goes up. So if it happens, this would be a great trade. That's why I took the trade. And then afterwards, the market just went backwards very sharply. This was my buy. This was where I took the buy. And the market went backwards. This was my stop loss. So I exited manually here when I saw this dead cross K6 and also the market reverse. Doji break happens here too. So I see some multiple reverse confirmations in the 5. So I exited manually. So in this example, although still the daily chart is up, 1 hour is also up, I exit. Because again, like I mentioned previously, live stream or videos, the trend starts from the lower time frames. And I can see the potential start of downtrend from here on the lower time frame in the 5. And that's why I exit. If I didn't see the potential reverse and continuation downtrend from here, I wouldn't exit. But because I saw this, I exited. So the market went backwards all the way like this way afterwards. So that was the right time to exit in this one. So always, whenever you take a trade, before you run the profit, before you set the break even, you still have some potential losses. Yes, you only take 2% loss, and for some of you, 2% may be very small, but 2% for me is very big, psychologically speaking. Number-wise, it's really small, but psychologically speaking, 2% loss is very small, very big, because if you lose 5 times 2%, that will be 10% loss. So 2% loss is very big for me. And usually before the price hit the stop loss, I see the reverse signals in the 5 minute. And that's why I always exit before the price hit the stop loss. So I never lose more than 2%. I will lose less than 2% every time. Again, if you look at the spreadsheet and if you see this risk, the drawdowns per trade, over here, I lose 0.55% and 0.54%. So I take 2 trades. So in this one, I'm taking 1.1% drawdown on 2 trades. On the next one, I took 0.07%. This was manual exit before the big news. This was only taking 0.14% risk, 0.14% drawdown. And the next one was 0.79% times 2. So it was like around 1.2% 5.8, right? Drawdown. So like this, I take less than 2% drawdown per trade. Always, I take less than 2% drawdown. So I keep the losses as small as possible so that the future profits can cover these small losses easier if it happens in the future. So that was my trade, and I exited. Basically, the market went backwards afterwards and exited on this. And next one I took was Aussie Swiss franc. I took the sell because the Kumo was down and the Kijun Sen was down on the daily and 30, and I took the sell on the 5. I saw that there was a nice breakout too. So I thought the market goes down continuously. So I see the nice retracement in the 30, nice resistance by the Tenkan Sen on the 30. So I thought the market goes down continuously. That's why I took the sell here by these confirmations. And after this, what happened was that the market went downwards towards my direction. I run, so the market went downwards, continues towards my direction. It broke the support, so I moved the stop loss. It was originally here to over here, and I'm only taking 3 pips of loss. So, and then I think it went backwards. Oh, sorry, no. It went towards my direction. I saw the new breakout. So I moved this 3 pips of stop loss to break even. So that I don't lose in this trade. And then I think it went backwards sharply. Oh yeah, sorry, this was profit. Yeah, because I moved one of the stop losses here and trail the profit, and the other one still keep at the break even. And this was, as I mentioned here, this was because of these below reasons. I moved the stop loss to trail, and one of the reasons was M5 shows P wave breakout, stochastics, stochastic dead cross, right? So I saw the P wave breakout and stochastic dead cross. That's why I decided to trail the profit. I fixed 15 pips of profit here. And then I will having a lunch, so we'll leave the chart for a couple of hours from now. So yes, I had the lunch time, and I will leave chart for a couple of hours. So that's why if I keep the break-even line here, and since this is Swiss franc, this was AUD Swiss franc, so you know how Swiss franc pairs can be volatile and spiky sometimes, certainly. So in future, in a few hours, few minutes, it may spike, and spike goes up this way, and I didn't want to lose these potential profits. That's why I decided to leave one of the stop losses here, 15 pips, fixing profit, and the other one at the break even. Yeah, so with these reasons, I moved the stop loss to 15 pips below my position and just left the chart. And left the chart like this, and then what happened was, so that 15 pips of stop loss was taken. So I took the profit over there, and the stop loss, the break even stop loss, I moved it slightly below because I see this downtrend in the 5. So I fixed 15 pips. On the other one, sorry, I fixed the 12 pips or 13 pips. So that was my trade on the AUD Swiss franc. The market went backwards afterwards, and the stop loss was taken, and I took that profit. Okay, and then CAD-JPY on the 28th of June, I took the trade buy. I took the buy here because I saw this nice ascending P wave, And of course, higher time frames were bullish. So I was expecting the market goes up continuously. And then I took the buy. The market went up afterwards. And then it had the P wave in the 5 P wave, but still the market was in between the Bollinger Bands division 1, 2. So technically it was band walking, and P wave has been broken bullish this way. And this was when I set the break even, when I moved the stop loss originally, which was 23 pips below to the break even, when I saw this break on the P wave. And then the market went backwards, and yeah, the market went backwards. There was a long wick. This wasn't due to news, but for some reason the market just went backwards, and I exited simply at the break even. So that was my CAT JPY. And I think, yeah, and my last trade, I think it was, I took 2 more trades. Aussie CAD was the next trade. I took the sell. Since 4 hour was down, 1 hour was down, M5 was downtrending, I took the sell. And then I saw the market going towards my direction, broke the new low, M5. So I moved the stop loss above the previous high, because this is still not enough pips to set the break even. It was only less than 10 pips of running profit. So I moved the stop loss above the previous high. So then I'm risking only 8 pips of stop loss, 8 pips only. Originally it was 30 pips. But then I'm only risking 8 pips. So I lose less than 1%, even if the market goes backwards in this way. Yeah, and then, yes, the market went downwards towards my direction. So I set the break even. No reason to exit yet, because higher time frames were still downtrending. So I decided to keep following downtrend. And then the market went backwards. And exactly here at 12 UTC, it hit the break even. So that's how I exited, with a break even on Aussie CAD. Yeah. So my last trade was Aussie USD. And I took the trade sell, and the market went backwards, and I exited with a very small loss. I saw the gold cross, and I saw this double bottom neckline break, multiple reverse confirmations, and that's why I exited. Also, trend line breakout. So that was my trace, the whole trace. Okay. So yeah, hold on. Let me come back to your comments. Let me close the poll. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so for the month of June, I got 99 votes, and profitable 62% and loss 37%. So it's good. More than 50 members, more than 50% members are profitable, which was good news. So hopefully in the month of July it will be more active. Yeah, let me get back to some comments until I end the live in about a few minutes. So yeah, let's see. So Noel says, hello Kay, when you follow 4-hour major trend, do you look for daily support resistance or the 4-hour support resistance? Thank you. My answer is I look at the daily support resistance too, along with the 4-hour support resistance, because daily time frame is the base time frame on all the other time frames. So when you find the daily resistance support, then you better draw these lines, because market may react by these support resistances on daily. So better to do that. Yeah, and Ichimoku says, I have a question. In your strategy, when the price breaks the support resistance line and we wait for a pullback, unfortunately, after the pullback, the conditions of the strategy does not allow entry. Then simply you better leave chart and look for another opportunity. You can come back maybe a few hours later and look for another opportunities. Yeah, sometimes after the breakout, the pullback never happens. And that's also the reason why I take entries before the breakout. If I know it will break, then I will take the trade before the breakout. And I can tell by Ichimoku lines the potential breaks. Okay? Yeah. Okay, Yunus says, hello Mr. K, I have noticed that USDJPY reached its highest high in years. Do you think that it will continue rising? And if yes, what would be the possible reasons? I think it continues to go up because the currency of the USD is strong due to high interest rate, and JPY continues to be weak due to the negative or low interest rate. Fundamentally speaking, I think the market goes up continuously. Yeah. So David Johnson says, Kay, please could you explain how to manually calculate the risk management? If my stop loss is 3%, how do I calculate my lot size so that my loss will be 2%? You can search Google and search lot size calculator Forex, and you can find some websites that you can calculate the risk per trade and the lot size. There's a website called Baby Pips. You can do that, and also there's one also in myfsbook.com. You can find a calculator to calculate the lot size. Okay, so yeah, that's it for today's live. I see some other comments and questions, but unfortunately I have to go. So I will end the live for now, but I hope you enjoyed today's performance review on the month of June. So you can compare your trades with mine and how you took the trades, how I took the trades, and compare. And if we happen to trade at the same time in the month of June, then you can also compare our exit timings too, so that you can learn based on my own exit timings, my own strategy. Okay, and I do teach these strategies in my GTS class, and the next opening starts in October to December, and there are still 2 seats available. So the link is on the below description. You can click on that and open to this web page, and you can write me an email if you're interested to join the GTS to learn all these strategies. But again, thank you for joining, everyone, and I wish you have a great weekend. And for those who are Ichimoku members, I will see you soon in a few minutes. And for those who are public members, I will see you tomorrow at the weekly forecast. So until I see you next time, either way, please stay healthy and stay safe and stay gold. Alright, bye for now everyone. Mata ne. Thanks so much.